and that we were discussing transportation briefly. The question now is, do you believe a modern BRT system is the solution for congestion on Columbia Pike?
So to avoid getting into a semantics discussion, I think whether you call it BRT or something else, there is clear to me the need right away to enhance transportation on Columbia Pike. I actually live in the area 2 blocks off of the Pike, and I travel every day on the 16-mile bus going into the city. And there are a few things that I know. Because it's a reliable bus route, it takes people where they need to go, it's heavily utilized. And we need to make sure that we use all available technologies to modernize and make that experience more convenient for people who have to go east-west. That's critically important for the region's future growth, but also to do right by people who currently live there. But we also can't take our eye off the ball and forget that in addition to traveling east-west, people have a real need to travel north-south. And currently those networks are not as well served as the east-west connections. We need to invest in making sure those north-south connections are reliable and have just as much quality as anything that we do east-west. And furthermore, if we think about Columbia Pike's future development, we certainly want to make sure that people on the Pike are able to experience and enjoy and benefit from that redevelopment. But when it comes, we don't want this to just be a South Arlington thing. We want people from north to be able to come south and to do so without driving their cars. So it's critical that we think about a network that actually works in all facets and in all manners. And to realize that it's not just...
I'm going to cut you off now.
Sure.
We're like 15 or 20 seconds off.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. I could talk more, but we'll move on.
That's good.
Sorry.
Investment in transportation, not just on Columbia Pike, but in Arlington, is something I believe in. We must do it. BRT or whatever the solution we have to find has to include a community community engagement process that allows for citizens to provide input. We want to use good public policy as we move forward. One of the opportunities is to have a circular that runs from Columbia Pike, Crystal City to Shirlington. If we want to attract new businesses, especially small businesses, we have to be able to get our educated workforce to and from work. The demand on transportation is from the community. Folks want walkable communities in Arlington. They want faster, safer, more economical, and more affordable. This is how we approach transportation in Arlington.
Well, you mentioned the dreaded BRT word. BRT is what Alexandria is planning to build, tying in from our Crystal City terminal down to Braddock Station, out King Street, eventually to Northern Virginia Community College. This is a beginning of a regional network. I would like to see us tie into a regional network, not using a BRT because it does require a specific lane, but with our enhanced ART bus system running down Columbia Pike back and closing the loop between the new station, which would probably be in the Novi area, and Crystal City. So also, if we just really want to cast our eyes into the future, and if we really, really want to see Metro ever come to the Columbia Pike corridor, the conversation really needs to start now, because that is a very long process. It's a heavy lift, but I know that in 30 years we can have it.
I guess I almost feel like I'm back in a transportation commission hearing here talking about some of these terminology, but I think that instead of focusing on BRT or any particular methodology, the bottom line is that Arlington needs better transit. Whether it is more frequent, more comfortable, better ride, better experience, better north-south connections. And I got involved in Pike planning when I was a Civic Association president living in the opposite end of the county. Why? Because, well, it was something that was important to me. And I think that we need to accept the fact that there were development entitlements granted along the Pike and in other parts of the county that are not something that can easily be removed now without lawsuits because it's considered a taking under state law. So really, the county board has to step up and accept responsibility to be part of the solution for transit in Route 1 corridor and in Columbia Pike, as well as throughout the county. It may not be on rails, but we need a new solution. And I think it has to be something that we have broad community support for, not just the project, but how we pay for it.
Would you mind repeating the question?
Sure. The question was, do you believe a modern BRT system is the solution for the congestion on Columbia Pike?
I think where I come down on this question and how we move forward on the transportation solutions on Columbia Pike is not only talking to voters and talking to people who live along the pike. And as a member of the Transportation Commission now, I make sure that we listen to a whole range of perspectives. But you also need to talk to the economic development and the folks who had planned to build along the pike with the last plan. And how many people have I talked to in those neighborhoods that say, you know, we bought this house with the hope of certain economic development things happening. And now we have to look at this plan differently. And I think we need to start by thinking, what is going to be the solution that not only provides transportation solutions, obviously we have more people projected to move along the pike in the years ahead that cannot subsist on the existing system, but we also need to think about what's going to be the most economically development friendly solution. And three, we need to find solutions that support a lot of different modes of transportation, not just buses, not just trains, but all sorts of transportation. So that's what I think on that.
So I think one of the things that Arlington has done well is that transportation in Arlington has always been about moving people, not vehicles. I think that's true of Columbia Pike, and I think that's urgent on Columbia Pike. Like Christian, I also live off the pike, and my neighbors and I are feeling that need acutely. It's only going to grow. 65% of Arlington's population growth in the coming decades is going to be along Columbia Pike. And I think we need a strategy to tackle it. My sense is, in the immediate, I think that we get there through enhanced bus service and through implementing some of the innovations we had to plan as part of our backup for the streetcar, the TSM2. There are a lot of ways that we crack that nut. I think, for example, multi-door boarding on a lighting, off-vehicle fare collection. These are things that aren't necessarily about moving more vehicles, they're about moving more people. That's what Columbia Pike needs, and that's what Arlington values.